Chirdan Soki Chunam La Jangcho Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Gi Pesonam Ki Drola Penchu Sangi Drupasho Chirdan Soki Chunam La Jangcho Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Gi Pesonam Ki Drola Penchu Sangi Drupasho Chirdan Soki Choknam La Jangcho Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chenyen Gi Pesonam Ki Drola Penchu Sangi Drupasho.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Geshe.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Geshe.
Morning. Morning. Good evening. Church and you guys have to sit face. Those people here, they say here. Anyway, it's wonderful.
Everywhere.
Anyway, it's wonderful. That finally again we come back to our daily pray, we practice. Wonderful. Around efforts.
No, you don't need it. Not today. I was testing it, but we're not using it today. It works, but we don't need it. Just a few people.
You guys hear me? Thumbs up. No, you don't hear? Karen, maybe Karen, you put your speaker in your mouth. Maybe your volume is too down.
The volume is up, but your sound is breaking up a little bit.
Oh,
It is breaking up for me too.
how about now? Good. Still working? Maybe just. Then maybe not enough. How about now?
It's a little crackling.
Sounds good here.
Yeah.
I have mine as well here.
Yeah.
We can test it.
And then you have to passion, you know. Well, I think this is maybe very good.
It could be the internet. It could be. Well, that's.
That's funny.
How about now?
Horrible. Did you mute it? Make it. Okay, so we just need to mute everything. Both. Mute. Okay, can people hear me?
Echoes.
Okay.
How about now? Deborah?
I'm
I
not
couldn't
sure.
hear
You
you.
just speak a little bit more. Okay, it should be.
Can you say, Deborah? Karen?
Sounds much better.
No, we don't hear you. Okay, Karen says good. How Deborah is? Thumbs up, down? Okay, that's good. That's
I
good.
think.
But
You guys speak. Geshe should hear. Sorry, my laptop was muted.
that's good. You guys good, right? Up, down? Okay, that's good. We don't need you. We don't hear you. It's okay. We don't want to hear you. Anyway, It's technically, and my neighbors. Anyway, it's wonderful to, as long term, be able to come back and study. And today's topic is not easy, right? I hope you guys know more. It's very complicated. One hand is text themselves very complicated. Secondly, I'm not skillful to explain what this text. Therefore, don't hope I can get something, okay? Right? Expectation. Don't expectation too much, okay? You need to, there are so many things to, in the conditions for our own merit, our own effort, and also we need to, create the protection for all the lamas, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. Okay? Therefore, anything is good things, just rejoice. Even I don't understand much that, but I got very good influence to study that. In the future, we were able to study, we are able to understand the meaning of this text. Because the text is very complicated. Even the monks, nuns, they study in monastery like years study this text. They sometimes say, what purpose to study that? But this is a big purpose. Like step by step, in order to, we need to go college. We need to do a high school degree, right? Without high school degree, can you go to the college? Not possible, right? In order to go to high school, you need to also knowledge for the kindergartens or the, it's like that. But step by step, is exactly that. The first one, Babashika.
Yes, Babashika.
Babashika Tenets is better than non-Buddhist view. Babashika's view is also than what Babashika other one. Southern Thika's view is a little better than Babashika. And Chidamatri view is a little better than Southern Thika. Then what? Person became view is better than mine only score, like that step by step. In order to know the last one's better, you need to know all the steps. Okay, now I'm not talking too much that. And today I'm going to a little bit explain for
We're going to have a discussion on the tenets in general.
Okay? And the depending on the Trumta condition we are. Tanda Karimba, Yonta Kanijimba. And they depend on Nambi Trumta the year to Cassette was the Penagachimbuchalure.
It's very important to understand what tenet is, and how did the tenet came about, how long the Buddhist tenet lives on, and so forth.
And it's actually not legit was Showina Bena on the Trumta said the Amazon Zombie Chani Tachi Tilo. Drumming nearly at Chawan, cutting good towards another Dragon goes to Tomar. Cutting tumbling good towards another, then did it towards Laptomar.
So how this tenet started about? Well, first, we have to know roughly how this world started. So the world that we live in, how did it start? So when did it start and how it started? It's very difficult to say when did it start. So it's like very long time, right? So it's very difficult to calculate how much time has been since this war started.
Imana Kanje and the Tambo on the meters of Chawe Kablaya, Mitsama, Chisuzu, Jawangame, Sonum, and Lake Takia, Nichi, Misega, Kalazongazo, Kalejaku Markaje, Mame Veloto, Suzukati, Sasan, the triangle.
So at the beginning, when people just started to come about in this world, and at that time, those people were of course, born by their karma in this world. And because of their karma also, they didn't have to grow crops, unharvested crops, just grows up and then they can just enjoy it or eat from there.
아니 드네 아니다 미때 너무마 담네 오탕아 드링 산이 사이데 드링 사위 가지고 싸우기 그랬어.
Then after some time, the delusions in people started to grow, like the violence or greediness that started to grow in people, and then they start think, oh, then I have to save something for tomorrow. And if I don't save something for tomorrow, I might not be able to get it tomorrow. They start thinking like that.
나도 남의 주인의 잠리 차단기나 뜻이거든.
This is how the world came into existence from the Buddhist point of view.
아니 드네 아니 미카지 꼬마 잡고 있어. 그게 메시아주 꼬마 잡지. 소소 도야지 꼬마 잡기 그래.
Then some people started to steal those crops or possessions that was saved by others.
아니 드네 집에 갈라 다 주바전에 야고 오면 돼서 아니 드네 딱 군주 주루지네 당만도 잡고 봄보고 어스 만보고 잡어서 그런스 이갑게 미티게 딱 그네 봄보고 봄보디가 딱 춤샤고 직제 초고에서 딱 춤샤고 그래.
So then, when people started to do that, steal and rob things from others, then they think, oh, it's not good for people to just freely rob around or steal. So we have to create a rule, so that, and then we need somebody to, rule and create that, then like a leader, we need a leader or like a king, to create that rule and to follow, to make people follow those rules.
내 제대가 담비 참만 해놓고 안당한도 변에 지도 시면으로 콜라야 트레이닝 제면은 내거 가원 중도 그러고 대체 봐. 그 남주들이 춤들마다 춤골라 때마다 봐지는데 담비만 뭐 신화들 반참으로 그래.
And so it's just like the dogs and cats, if they are not trained, then they will be running all over the place, they will do all things, right? But when they're trained, then you can keep them where you want them to be and so forth. So at that time also people were like that. They were not trained, so they couldn't live under the rules, so they started to escape into the forests.
아니 신화들 봐 너지 다 곰잡네야 띵에도 곰잡네 다 로모고 그 곰잡이 그래.
And they go into the forest and then just started to meditate there on concentration.
아니 곰잡네 아니 신에 전날 하도 쳤네 아니 지금 소수고 가리 하고 왔다 곰쇼는데 아니 지금 섬부터 안에 딱 빼서 먹었점 내지네 아니 딱 장신 봐서 해도 좋아해 버려.
So then through that meditation on concentration, they achieved concentration or karma binding, and then with that special insight. And so then when they started to understand about these things through the karma binding and special insight, then they started to write all their understandings, all their realizations, right? And then from there, from there came the school of Tenets. So the first started with this non-Buddhist school called the Samkhayas.
다 되네 제어봐 장변받아 듣는 바다 뒤나라지 남 그러서 봐 예전에 본다 아무리 다 간지 출입했던다 생각은 만줄라나 출입했던다까지 tum다 뭐 좋아해 버려.
So there were many other non-Buddhists, the Hedonists, the Samkhayas, and so forth. So many different kind of non-Buddhist tenets formed from there.
나도 남배 tum다들 간지 상지 좀 된데 패비 지수 좀 어떤 이 말이야.
And so whereas the Buddhist tenet came into existence after Buddha Shakyamuni.
사실은 tum다세대 간지 열었나 배나. 아니 루다 리픽 파 따제 지지 수술롱을 섬을려야지. 나라 렌드 내일 파도 미국선 타셔야지. 어딜 tum다스.
What tenet means is it's like a conclusion. Where you analyze about something, or this is this is this, or this is that, like that. You come to the conclusion through logics and scriptural supports and logics through that, and you come to the conclusion. Say, oh, this is how it is, or this is what it is. And that conclusion is called tenets.
타스 수술롱을 나라 렌드스. 타스나 텔파 마다와. 그냥 아주 짜리에 어디서 그러시라.
So in Tibetan, we call it dukta. Up means to establish, to come to the conclusion. That's how it is established. So this is established as this. So you establish, and ta means the end. So that's the end of establishment. There's no further you can go beyond that.
또 대개 그거라 아니면 또 아니 협의 취지신이 있어요. 지금 콩거 내무도지가 내가 특사서 좀 디나로 송여다.
And so that's explained, this about this thing being like the end of the conclusion or the establishment is can explained by
취지 협의 취지신이.
Shugeshin in his text called the clear words. That's the commentary of ornament of clear realization.
무도지는 너니 딱지와.
There are like 21 commentaries to the ornament of clear realization.
어디든 이제 다 디나 요래서 와.
So this is one of those commentaries.
제가 미치게 좀다 들리면 그거가 나다 군대 루데레서 와.
And so that commentary called the clear word that explains about these tenets. So that's the scriptural support you can refer to prove about these tenets.
아들이 남아 상하지 좀다들 가르쳐오나 신도 시라모도 되바니 아니 샘좀 오마바스 다tum다 먹어 시승을 시작해 버려.
And then in Buddhism, we have 4 tenets, right? So Vaibhashika, Sautantika, Chittamatrin, and Madhyamika.
나 군도 가르치는 시험을했어. 군도 뒤시 가는 시험을 심하지 가르치는 나오면 그랬어. 안 나가요.
So then there's a say, and there's a reason why there's only 4. Why can't there be 5? Right? Why there only?
대야 아니 제도지 대와서 얘는 잡아야 되나다 간주 때주 죽이나 서로 상제 벌어 시와다 나와테 보고 보면 상제기 근데 좀 달라 시월이 나와대 상제가 공부 말해서 어두서.
So again, in one of the texts,
제도지 대와.
so there's so it's from the
제도지
Tantra.
님보에서.
So it's the essence of Vajra Tantra. So in there, that's I think maybe in one of the translated teachings of the Buddha. In there, in that one of the volumes, there's this sutta. I mean, that's called this tantra, called the essence of Vajra Tantra. In there, it explains about why there are only 4, and why this is in Buddhist tenet there are only 4, and the 5th one is not the intention of Buddha. The scriptural support. So.
내가도 그분도 좀 다다 남진 얌내 제다다 대링간 시대된다고 말이야.
So here, this is like more like a study. So it's not like usually when we do the practice, study about the practice. It's not similar to that. It's a little bit more like intellectual studies.
가르치는 거 마셔보나 어디 상지가 공부 말이 시열해서.
Now you understand why there's no 5. Why can't there be 5? Because that's not the intention of Buddha.
다 오늘 시간에 쇼를 나 시대 아주 좀 되는 콜로 동보 말하면서 뭐 뒤가 아니 다 지지한테 켈랭이 시라 먹는 것도 많이
And so how did that those 4 tenets of Buddhism came about? So first, turning of the Buddha Dharma, where Buddha taught about the 4 noble truths, right? And so those who assert the 4 noble truths, just as it is explained, just as it is, what's that?
콜로 동보.
Definitive, so who understand, who the first rule of Dharma as the definitive teaching, and so those are called the Vaibhashikas and so on.
아니 자기 부모를 아는 콜로 봐와 땅 가서 남정을 나요. 다 시람님 보여래. 시람님 뭐 아니 전주기 내 제대로 또 생각이 엄마 봐서 시험해 버려.
Then during the second turning of the rule of Dharma, Buddha Shakyamuni taught about the Heart Sutta, right? On the Virtuous Peak in Rajgira, and there, he talked about the emptiness, right? So then, so those who assert that to be a definitive teaching is called Madhyamika.
다 아무 진다 아니 된다 봐와니지 아니 니베가 지지 좀 줘서 아 시와대 아니 양바친데 야가선데 양바친데야 는 콜론 타마 레바 나바시기 주고서서 뭐디 and the Dutch 뭐 지든랑이 온 셈좀 마세트 좀 할.
And then on so the first turn of the rule of Dharma has 2 tenets, right? Vaibhashika and Sautantika, and the second one has 1, so that makes 3, and the third one third turn of the wheel of Dharma, where Buddha taught, on the teachings on how to so clearly what is truly extinct and what is not truly extinct and so forth clearly. And so from there came the Chitta Martin or the mindfulness school tenets.
제가 따뜻히 시셔서 산지 좀 내게 추진 걸로 숨손에 이게 지진 주변에 배우는 셔네 아니 대자서 그는 막까지 좀 담아서 숨 시셔만 왔어.
So because of Buddha's turning the three wheel of Dharma, and then from each the turning of the Dharma, there came different views, right? So therefore there came these four different kind of tenets.
아 덤다 되는 거 당연히 쉬어 봐. 집어지 덤다 되는 집아래스.
So the meaning of the tenet, is just like what I explained earlier. It's like the conclusion one into the final establishment.
아 된리가 사지가 추 사지가 땜바 아무나 사지가 덤다들 lokase 되게래스 저거이나.
So that kind of teachings of the Buddha or the tenets of the Buddha, how long it's going to last?
Any answer?
How long it's going to last? How long it's going to live for?
1,000 years.
나 단단히 사지 땜반 트윈에 로니 동업전도서로 산지셨네.
So it's been what? How many years? 2,500 years, right? From the time Buddha came.
right? 제가 다 lokase 되게래.
How many more years?
로또랑가 되려고 당가도 남백시는 로또랑가 되게래서라 그래.
And anyway, according to Buddhism, it says that Buddha's teaching is going to last for 5,000 years. So now, how much?
We're halfway through. You're halfway
그래서 멜라나요. ngaja tamashi dewa 미. 나 ngabja chaba chuka들이. ngabja chaba 찌도 동랑 알아. 롱abja chaba
So
ngati.
the
롱abja chaba.
medicine Buddha prayer, puja, medicine Buddha puja prayer, that's like the fifth, the last 500. So that's like the 10,500. So it's the 10,500. 10,500 is what 5,000, right?
Yeah.
And so the last 500 of the 10, of the last 500 of the 5,000 years.
제가 간지 돕나 로또랑가 되게래스.
Or in altogether, the Buddha's teaching is going to last for 5,000 years.
아들이 로또랑 롱abja 간한테 고자 잡아래스.
And then this 5,000 years is again divided by like 500 years.
아 간이 그나 산지 좀 전에 담보 비교가라 롱abje para라 되냐면 제가 사마 마체 짜증 먹고 못하고 그래. 롱abja.
That's the first 500. They call it the 500 from the time Buddha Shakyamuni passed away. For 500 years, all the practitioners gained arhatship.
맞다 산지 샤슈에나 가다 간이 띠갑게. 산지 페바네 손대 롱abje para라 냠래 맞아 뭔가 제다 좀 못하고.
So from the time, not from the after Buddha passed away, but from the time when Buddha was around, from the time he gained enlightenment, or he performed the deed of gaining enlightenment. For the next 500 years, all those practitioners will gain liberation or arhatship.
대탕abja로서
That's the first 500 years.
다 때에만 둘러.
And then comes the next 500 years. Becomes a little bit worse.
아니 쇼모 세대 능abja 쇼모 내부터는 롱abja 되죠.
And then for that 500 years, there will be like the never returners. So those.
니도 돌아온 것 같아. 니도 돌아온 것 같아.
So those are the practitioners on the path of seeing of the healer's vehicle.
대롱abja 되죠.
So there will be those kind of practitioners, the never returners. From the
루직동으로 사서
vehicle.
아 되네 루직동으로 사서 다 양주되면 롱abja 야 때에서만 두는 거지.
So that went through 1,000 years now, right? And then the next 500 years, it becomes a little worse again.
아니 지죽은 내가 돈내 롱abja 받대 그랬어.
And then, so during that time, there will be like the stream interest. The stream interest will last for 500 years.
지죽 세대 다 니도 좀 들어 좀 급.
That's during the further preparation of the heroes and vehicle.
아 루직동abja로 사서
1,500 years, right?
다된 로사.
That's gone, right? That's passed away.
강어도 루니동abja로. 다 뒤줄라 아니 양 냠네 징에서 롱abja 발라 보 트럼 야보 손대게 된데 안 롱abja 좋아해 봐.
And after that, the next 500 years, there were like practitioners who were observing their vows or moralities properly. After that, then there's like 500 years where they find practitioners who are meditating on concentration very well.
And these will to help and the sharp tanjang bini karota. That's something I sharp key, sharp yabu, dig along of just my part.
Then after that, and then there's like 500 years where they have these people are always studying wisdom or special insight.
Hello, Sundolo, that's all.
That's what 3,000 years now. 3,000 years.
2,500. There were five. Geshe said 5. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, Tambodi and the Dutch and Nibashon, so much Juchi Telo.
Also, there's Arhat, right? Then never returner, Shimioma, and then Jushura, Shoyoma. There's never returner, stream enterer, and then
Awesome.
And then the 3 trainings.
The trainings.
The 4th one, right? 4th 500.
How many years ago?
So 2,000. Right?
2,000, right? Yeah.
Shiva Chasana.
3,000 more.
Not get Shiva.
These who are that Dennis Miwa, Dodi Denin, David Denim Mumba Dennis. And they thought Dodi Denala Yamto watching a long abja. And then Mumbi Denil Yamto watching a long abja. David watching long abja.
Then there are like the 3 baskets of teachings, right? The basket teachings on Sutra, Vinaya, and Abhidhamma Kosha.
That take Tagadros.
So each of them have like 500 years. So that's what 3,500. So we're around there.
Low shitong of the Shada, Tang of Jamaica. The Tatami Yalan Bas, that partner now Yamla by Tatam Maton, Monegi Yamla Megi, in the tower of Juba and away by now. This patar chicks. In the knobs and the Kodam, but only now the Tobat Masongi. Yamlin, but Tatam is a nigga.
Like that, then it goes, comes to the final 500 year, the last 500 year, where there will be like a mere practitioner. So it's a mere practitioner. Like that, they merely looks like a practitioner, but doesn't really practice. Like people, there may be monks, wearing robes, but the inside they don't really study or practice. And then 5,000 years goes by.
It won't got it. That should not get to yes.
The 3 baskets, could you repeat what those are comprised of?
The Sutra, Vinaya, and Phenomenology. Abhidhamma Kosha.
That should not turn down with the number of you turn the look when a long Tonga taken a Goja Kanija and all those hours static or love on the
That's how you divide, the 5,000 years.
Think it also, but they turned out now you're there.
I didn't make it up.
That number Sanjiva and the sometimes number Sanjiva in the my set, young, I got to shut down my race.
Then there's of course the Buddhist tenets, right? So whether it's a Buddhist tenet or not, again, there's the different or many explanation about that.
I'm going to show you that. I'm not beaten that may tell us that Mara Mumba China Kajichundo Koire, Kajima go to the Yod.
So there's now going to talk about that. Okay, so you might have heard, some of you might have heard, maybe some of this you might not have heard before.
And the Jamdu Gone and then number in Tatachi.
So how do you recognize somebody or think of somebody as being a Buddhist? From the refuge perspective, from the perspective of refuge, having taken refuge, then you can think of that person as being a Buddhist or not. That you have heard many times before, right?
And it Tawa Gumba Shoba Simjikon number in Tatachi.
Then also there is a way of seeing someone as Buddhist, from the point of view of the view, and meditation, and then behaviors. That?
Oh, that's good. And it Tomba Temba Tawa Simjikon Shatachi. 돈바 언제 좀 된데 땜바 되게 땜바 안 되게 따와사지.
Then from the perspective of the teacher, teaching and view.
고려.
Have you heard of that? Teacher, teaching, and view.
Okay.
Teacher is like Buddha Shakyamuni, like teacher, then teaching is his teachings, then the view.
대치 단도서 지다 tum다는 요래 tum다시 몸보드나 요래 단당하고 tum다시게 해서 그 대치 말랍시다 주도 아고 그러와.
Yeah, so this because we're talking about tenets here, right? So maybe if I did more on that, it will help you to understand.
다 잠들고는 셔달라에 니오도 왔어. 칸에 지 잠도 셔나 지당문에 삼랑고 잠도 잠 산지 죽게는 잠에도 걔네 미토네 잠도 니오도 와.
Then the refuge itself, can have two, right? Like the verbal refuge and then mental refuge. And so, just reciting the refuge formula from the mouth, really interesting completely, from your heart in the three jewels.
남녀도 인다 부다 다르마 상가에서 칸라든 점점 샘을 소화시 영어로.
Sometimes when we recite it, I take refuge Buddha, I take refuge Dharma, I take refuge Sangha, we don't really get that feeling from the heart, right? We just say it from our mouth.
아 특성보다 칸인데 대선보다 샘을 솜 땅에 원이 식사는 샘을 소화를 잠동원에 대해서.
And so you recite this noble word from the mouth and then think about the noble meaning from the heart. And that really becomes the refuge.
어다 등도 조지 받아야 되셔도 아는 정보를 못 써봐지면도 다 잠들고는 나와 남바나 시기 이제 그래서 좋은 거래.
So this is how Lama Disha and Lama Tsongkhapa taught about seeing someone as Buddhist from that way.
다 따금쇼 다 따와서 남경도요. 따와 까다지 샤지 주시세요.
Then from the view, right? So we talk about like the four fields and the four seals.
근데 넘바 찾아다 내 도면 넘바 간갈 터모도 시고다.
So this is all the Buddhists and all the Buddhists in general.
이건 담보가 내시에 좀 따바래서는 다 남들 하기로 와.
The four seals are every compounded phenomena are impermanent.
What a second.
In the nature of all contaminated phenomena and the nature of suffering.
그래. 사체다지 등하와 된데가도 대선 되시 자고도.
So then all the contaminated phenomena are suffering. So what does that mean?
제자 님믹시에 등하와 레와데 주도 갈라가.
What about these glasses that I have? Is that a suffering?
They can break and they can disappear.
Liar. This is noise.
등하 말이야. 등하와라고 그래서 나도요. 사체다지 등하라는데 사체다지 등하와는데 된는가 배외가 가서 틀려 배외 틀을 빼면서 거야 돼.
And I think maybe you can't say it's suffering, but it's in the nature of suffering. That's different like that.
제자 미시에 등하와이 등하마이 있으라고 말 등하이는 시바이고 그러다.
In the nature of suffering, but not suffering.
Okay.
Because if it is suffering, then it has to be consciousness.
I have a mind.
Has
Yeah.
to be, has to be consciousness.
But it can cause my mind to suffer.
Yes, therefore it's the nature of
Yeah.
suffering.
제자 그 레다 너무 그 쇼인자 아니 등하와레스. 나 등하마이 스테주 같이
So
가시죠.
it has the nature of suffering because it came from karma and delusion.
Mhm.
But it's not suffering because it's not consciousness.
등하다 등하와니 무슨 뜻이 가세요?
Now, how many what's this? I haven't touched it for so long.
Concentration.
그래서 sediment how many sediments
No.
무슨 뜻이
Question? With the third one.
This is
등하와는 등하니라.
well, it's like I said, yeah. So there's like, we talk about common logos. So how many common logos are there? Is there 3 or 4 common logos between suffering and a nature of suffering?
This is homework, okay? This is not today. This is homework, okay?
So something that is nature of suffering but not suffering, something that is suffering but not nature of suffering, or something that is both, or something that is neither.
Okay, this is homework, okay? Okay. 아셔다시 등하와 다 추당시 동시 다음에 봐스. 이와도 숨바딘 봐스.
All the contaminations are suffering in the nature of suffering, and then all the phenomena are empty and selfless.
다 대간지 슈카리지 뭐나 신은 가리만 상마 아니 가사다 그 동아리 가사다 메레세도
And so it's all the phenomena, right? Whether it's the external or internal, all phenomena are empty, empty and empty of existing from empty of self-existence.
난 담아도 가고 냥을 내고 싶어 냥을에 내배 셔와서 디스카니 찍어대요 냥을에 사대 간지 동알라고 그랬어 요몰라고 텔레판 대와도 셔와레스 어때 남배가 따와도 몸을 비착착 그래
And so the free from says transcended from from the sorrow is the bliss. So that's the fourth seal.
요몰라 냥엘라 텔레판 대와 텔레파 타르바들라 아니
Or in other words, just simply saying like free from the sorrow is bliss. So sorrow here is referring to not only just like suffering, but the delusions that are cause of suffering as well. The delusions.
저도 남배가 따와도 되레스
That's the view. These four seals. This is the view of the Buddhism.
아 곰가다 남배 곰가리잖아
Now, what is the Buddhist meditation?
아니 지금 당이다 슈가 간지 스방 코에 있는 분들보다나 남배 곰차게 된 코에 있는 분들보다나 남배 곰 말레스
So whatever becomes antidote, to to the samsara, is Buddhist meditation. If it doesn't become antidote to the samsara, then it's not Buddhist meditation.
네 아들 쇠모자 이는 다트 잠고시 대셔당
So
셔당
you can argue a lot about that.
따와치 곰바치 따와카레를 가리 곰거래서
You know the view, right? Motives and the meditation is that which is antidote, to samsara. Is a Buddhist meditation. If it's not antidote to samsara, then it's not Buddhist meditation.
아야 인이나 그러 까다데 따와 까다데나까지 첨레 대상지 주는 거 첨레스 첨과 티데자마다 그냥 첨도 그는 넘바 쇼여를 첨들 판게는 넘바 두고 말했어 인지는 간이나
So we call it seal. What is seal? What is seal means like to put a seal on it, right? So it says, okay, you make a rule, and this is the rules of the Buddha, and it's sealed. It's sealed. That's why it's called the four seals.
오케이 당가서 첨라고 지나 담보 미게 주대지 텔라지는지 아니 사이자면 고tum 차로 대선으로
It's like when you make a rule, right, and then you sign on it, then it becomes the rule. So people first in the meeting they talk about, okay, let's do this, and then okay, we all sign that. Now it becomes the rule like that, and it's sealed like that.
어시 다 따와치 곰바시 곰하고서
Now you understand the view, you understand the meditation, right?
아 쇼바
And now the behavior or conduct, behavior or conduct.
대초서 가면서 성도
What do you think that will be? What will be the conduct?
The refuge.
I don't know, would it be subdue your mind thoroughly? This is the
No.
teaching.
제대 대가면 근데 저도 자탄 라면 네가 오셔야 돼 아니 날씨 대비 다당 아니 가르고 내가 솜니 다니 만들어 그랬어 날씨 대비 다당
To the top.
대비 다 많다 다르고 날씨 더버나 가지 마베 지 그리고 샘유다 차치에다 지 내가 많이 맞지 내가 그랬어 날씨 대비 다 아니 내가 솜니 다는 야지 텔레기네 야지까지 제트치 했더니 많이 그랬어
So again, the conduct, is very similar to what you guessed, like subdued. So, like like your mind is like so overwhelmed and you can't really think properly, and you're so like when you are so depressed, you can't, or you are so excited. So it's not going to either extreme, not being too depressed or not being too excited.
이 자세는 뭐 미카시 랭도 다 그래서 담도 지제들이 가지라도 자와도치 둘러서 가지만 주건 쏟다 주 명이 깔로서 주 명이 될 건데 어때는 많이 받고 그랬어.
So like sometimes in engaging in the conduct, like we're in an improper conduct, like maybe you find some Westerners when they like pretend, not like pretend, but they become a monk and then they don't keep the vows properly, or
No, no
even like
Wearing the
wearing
robes.
robes, not properly, like not wearing the right color robes, or not wearing it in the right way like that.
나도 돈바 가르치는 데가 하고 말 대가 돌랍식만 이나 미파 따다라야 지금 나도 파드나 세저 정리 건다 제가 깔려야고 건다 그것이 tema jatijo 깔로 다ጆ를 건다 어떻게 말 마시고 그랬어.
So of course the vow we can't tell, what is inside, right? So whether the observing the vow properly or not, we can't tell. But from the clothes, we can see, right? Sometimes you say, oh, if you, of course, you don't know, if you're not monk, then you don't know what is the proper clothes and what color is the proper color of the robes. You don't know that, right? But some monks, they know. So the monks will say, oh, it's kind of over there wearing like that. It's so strange robes they're wearing like that. So those kind of things.
아 저도 benangado 시절에 ben 시제 저도 민다고는 진짜간도나 둘로까지 많이 듣는다고 막히고로 차로로 뒤서로.
So it's like, when you go to work in the office, you have to go in a proper attire, right? But if you just wear shorts or the tones, tone and jeans like that, then it will be seen as inappropriate, right?
그래서 지나서도 막 대가서 변화 자원을 봐나 미파 때문에 식가대 당원을 미제 반 제와담지 오 당원이 간이 야본도 삼수고 그래.
And so then, when you wear clothes or when you dress properly, then people look at it and they get a good vibe, right? So just like that, and when people see the monk, they should get like even immediately they should feel respect or devotion, that kind of thing, that kind of look, they should give to the people.
아 나도 남비 주칭에 받아 민통화도지 어떻게 오늘 남바스 때서 말아봐 누구 삼수고 그런 거지. 난 남바인도 전에 처음에로 지는 되게 말.
So just because you are a monk or nun, you have to behave in a proper way, so that when people see, they immediately have respect, and faith of respecting you. In other words, if they don't get that, then it's becomes very useless.
그러나 앞에로 변화 지나서 당가도 남바다 처음에 잡아지요 말 둘로 잡아지면서 지 당마 매와 지 건다야 보면 건나 미기다다고 야보 용 말아.
And so again, some people might say, oh, the Buddhist, Buddhism or the teaching, but the practice is internal thing. Doesn't matter how you dress. It's okay, you can dress in any way you want, but you have to have a good practice inside. Some people might think like that, right? But again, people from other side, they don't see your practice inside. They only see your appearance outside, right? And so to save and to protect their faith in the monks and nuns, it's good to wear robes properly.
앞에 대표다 다대도 장제 먼저 간다 간제 지나서 딩 타들 막 가로 안타로 쳐도 되는 마음이 고 그래서.
And so that's the example. So it's like not falling to the extreme, not falling to the extreme.
아니 너가 스님이 달아야 만들어 있고 그래서 양 자체다 양 텔게도 많이 먹고 그래서.
And then like not carrying at all, or maybe carrying too much, like you like overdressed. So when you go to the work, you have to dress, but like not being too overdressed like that.
간지 잘 배제 당원을 간지 너무 안게 담보 단자 배제 당원이나 타고 텔게도 그래서.
And so if you in this world, there are so many different quality of things, right? So if you say, oh, I need to have one of the best quality, then again you're going too much above.
어제도 다 되니까 간지 탄이서 말하고 우리 등지기 쉬어들라 하는 남배 쉬어버려서.
So not falling into these two extremes, right? The extreme of not carrying at all, or extreme of over carrying.
어쨌든
So that's called the Buddhist conduct.
다 남바 이미데 잠르고네 바금 쉬었음지고네 아니 알레 어디 쉬어봤지 이거는 다시 하던로 잠르고네다 바금 쉬던로 사송아.
So now we went through how you recognize somebody as a Buddhist, from whether they're taking refuge or not, right? Whether they believe in these three, the view, meditation, and conduct.
핫돔바 땜바 따왔음세 하시요래.
Then again, there's three, right? So it's the teacher, teaching, and view.
이는 남바 산지가 돔바데 쬐그서 얘는 끝났다 바이고 그래서.
So the Buddhist teacher, the teacher has to be someone who is free from all the forms and who possesses all the good qualities.
남도 점도 배 was 그날 아까로 펜타 마타지 된다 봐 그날 투지지 뭐니 뭐 나와서지 어떻게 된다 봐 그래.
And so that kind of like the qualities, the good qualities, like explained in the refuge teaching, about the teacher. Now, a teacher is someone who who benefits all, whether they have benefited him or not, whether they have benefited him or have harmed him. He will always benefit all of them, and who will always have compassion towards all without any kind of bias.
이제 남배가 땜바 알아. 똥바 들리지 그러와.
That's the teacher. That's the quality of teacher.
아 남배 땜바데 아니 제삼절라 맞춰 있고 그래.
Then the teaching has to be non-violence to others.
야 들으셔 볼 아니 저도 남배 샤사기도 어디 학교 잘 내가 왔을 때 이렇게 말해.
Then again, then you might think about, if it has to be non-violent, then what about those who are eating meat?
이렇게 말해.
Buddhists eating meat.
추책이 세네 아니 삼절라 내세 맞춰 있고 그래. 와 추이체다. 와 추책이 나는데 내 제와도 추이해서 내 삼절라 내가 지나 다 제와 잘하고.
So that's not what we're talking about, no? So you only say, okay, your practice should not cause harm to others. You say, oh, I'm doing practice, and that practice causes harm to others, then that becomes a violence.
그나가서 말주 피해야 되는데 어디로 가는데 말들이 산지 좀 말했어.
So like a practice of sacrificing animals to the deities.
내가 고소 남배 땜받아 되는 데스.
That's the Buddhist teaching.
남배 따와 되거든나. 아니 가사 따체지 롱지 동안 니값이 따와서 돼. 가사 따체지 롱지 동화서 냈고 그래.
And then the view here, is again the view, is the person being empty of permanence, unitary of one, and independence.
네가 아니 남바데 슈럽에 가고 따와래. 제가 바바지 된 거야.
So this predicts that and indicates that the Buddhist view is supreme, more supreme than the non-Buddhist view.
얘는 당신 봤다고 지방아지 켈랭 거래. 아니 가사 따바 일하거든.
And like the Samkhayas, they believe in past and future lives, but they say a person is permanent.
그러나 진세요. 그다 진세미 시가 말이야.
Of course, they have a reason to say that.
가르서는
Not just saying that just like that, but they have a reason to say.
나는 가지고 하마도 들레도 당가 지고 심한다고도 다고 지야면도 가지고 따바데 되서 그러려고 그러.
The reason why they say person is permanent is because person existed in the past life, exists in the present life, will exist in the future life. So it goes. Yeah, it's there all the time. Therefore, it's permanent.
제가 안에 가서 따바레스 다 디가 가서 말이다. 아체 롱지 동안고죠. 따바 말에 그걸 가서 따바 말에 아니 지워 아니 라테와 말에 아니 라마와 말에 아니 가로 아니 영어신 회사로.
And so and so that's but in Buddhism we say no, person is not permanent, and so therefore it's empty of permanence, and then it's not one. It depends on it's made of many. It's not one thing only. It's made of many, and then also it's not independent because it depends on cause and conditions for its existence. Therefore, it is empty of permanent, single, and independence.
Okay. 하고서 다 점사세 그래 하고 와다 얼마 양중에 뒤뒤식이다.
Again, to go back to what we talked about, tenets. You understand now what is tenets, right?
Okay, 실합돼요.
What is it? What is tenets?
Right?
Established conclusion.
루다 리페고니아. 안에 리파 안에 따나다 야나 고요고는 수수sem나 타치와지로.
So the final establishment, right? Final establishment through logics and scriptural support. Yeah, so you have to say through. So through that, then you come to that conclusion, right? Think, oh yeah, because of this, what that text said, and the text or the teacher said, and because it makes sense in that way. Therefore, it is like that. So when you come to that conclusion, that's called the tenet.
텔레쿠라고 가르쳐나?
So what is the source to back that up?
for the source.
Also,
Harakumbi.
was the
Stay in the
word-
cool down.
Right.
Sulabres.
So what is the source? Or who said that?
The Buddha
Clear
said that,
words.
Huh?
The clear words.
yeah,
Sixal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tisa.
That's right, yes.
Tisa like the and then Mutoji and what was in my
What
ears.
is the clear word?
a commentary on the ornament of clear
Yes,
realization.
Mutoji and what can say
How many commentaries are there? So-
21.
21.
Anyway, okay. I was like,
Good.
The Tulchinante, Tandenga Lojo, Namju Gondi on the Jungomar, the Wako, which it was.
So this is a study. A study. It's not like meditation, like we usually do on teachings. This is like just study.
At that Tandala, Nambit and the Shivit and I go to Kajisuzu, Samlaya, Suzu, repair some lose on the touch of it, Tenjim, touch of ego matters.
So yeah, so then there could be a Buddhist tenet or non-Buddhist tenets, right? So tenet is something that came to the final establishment through reasons and logical reasons and spiritual supports, right? So it doesn't have to be Buddhist tenet only. You can come to the final or the establishment, through other tenets, other reasons also. Other spiritual supports.
Tata Yogo matters.
But it doesn't have to be correct. It doesn't have to be the truth.
This guy's color change. We change that?
what happened? Oh, no, I don't know.
It's okay. No.
Or, you know, the battery is running low on that one.
No, let's change the color.
Or change the
People,
color.
it's okay. You
Oh.
guys change a different color, okay? What is that? Is
Oh, it's the battery. It went into low power. That's what it is. Now it will be very dark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Sorry.
okay. Yeah, no problem.
One day
Okay.
we'll have it all right.
It's no problem. Don't worry. What is? Angado ani number Sanjevi that temper the local na.
And how long is Buddha's teaching going to last?
5,000 years.
That's good. Okay. Ngabja the kari much was a cos hotel amgochi.
You know that what are the 500 years, right?
Yeah.
What are the 500
It's
years?
just-
What is? Ani tene karo. Ani tan nambe tumtaba shekani shongarisana.
How did the four tenets came about in Buddhism?
Na karji omarsana.
Why there's no five, no fifth?
According to the Buddhist teachings, there are only 4. That's what Geshe said at the
That's
beginning.
what Buddha intended.
And
Kurukulla.
people,
그 공부리스. 아니 나도 시대 용다 가르잖아.
Then how did the four came about?
well, they contemplated, and then, well, I don't know. I know they went to.
From the first turning of the wheel,
Yes.
and then so that's the Vaibhashika Sattvantra. The Chittamatra comes from the third turning of the wheel, and Madhyama comes from the second.
That's good. Okay. 저는 먼저 전달로 주신 난 대학교에서 그건 무슨 사님하고 개개 말죠.
So after studying the tenets, then that's all you have to get. Also, okay, yeah, these are it, these are. Otherwise, you have nothing to carry in your hand.
가는 게 담보가도 제시로 지. 그냥 아마 디디치에 구반으로 데려와.
So that's the reason why I first expanded and then later, combined it.
어찌 다르지. 다 안에 가도 단 남배 이미 따다로 가는 거였나? 아왜 시점도 거네. 알레.
How do you see someone as a Buddhist or not? How do you see someone as a Buddhist or not?
아무리 왜
How many different ways, of seeing someone as a Buddhist or not?
Someone's taking refuge.
Uh-huh.
View the meditation and the conduct.
Yeah.
Four seals.
And then
Teacher,
teacher, teaching, and the view.
오케이. 어디다 가서
Yeah, like that. So you know that now, right? So how many different ways, of seeing someone as a Buddhist?
대치단보다 야대 제자와 지 상거래 콜 상거래 날 상거래 제자 같이 쉬모죠.
So that's in general. Of course, you can debate on that, right? So it says, oh, I have this, I don't have that, or so am I Buddhist or not, and like that. You can, of course, debate on that.
아 좋아지는 내 동아리에서나.
No, it's the glass is suffering.
It's the nature of suffering.
Well, one. The
nature of suffering.
아 동아가 아 동아와다 동아지는 무슨 말이 지고 왔지 저도 지쇼와.
Now you have to find out whether there is 3 common locus or 4 common locus between suffering and the suffering of nature of suffering, right?
아 당어도 배서 만고 주tuk인다. 당어도 때문에 다 주도 때 갖고서 좀다들 가리가 연구해 알티가래야. 나 셔라마발레 대치라는 거네. 슈로비가 강사 다들 막 계속 놓았어.
For the non-Buddhists, assert a person to be self-existent, right?
다 되네 남배 전담마 신나 전담마쇼 된 것도 싫어마 생겨 싫어마.
Then among the four tenets, the lowest one is Vaibhashika, right?
이나 안에 되게 아니 강사 라자 TV 그리고
아직 어려워.
따로 로지
아직 어려워.
어제 로진지 그다 담을 와 켈레바이자 아니 싫어 빨리 때 야요 말이.
So the lowest one, is the Vaibhashika, who asserts the person to be empty of permanence, unitary, single, and independence, right? So therefore, it's a little better than the non-Buddhist tenets.
그리고 라자 TV 대지도 그거 다 켈레. 와 공사 따제 로지 그거 다음에 켈레바이나야 라자 TV 대지 다 켈레바이자 아니 싫어 빨리 때 타워 때 나 그 넘버 야드 차이 말이.
The Vaibhashikas, they don't assert the person to be, permanent, and unitary and independent, but they assert the person to be empty of that, right? But they don't assert the person to be empty of an existing self-sufficient and substantial. So therefore, it's a little better than the non-Buddhist, but it's not as good as the Sautantikas.
다들 파는 안도 대비 강사 따지 롱진다 강사라체 대비 제치다 니가 켈레 말이 아니 싫어마는 너 대비 타워치 말이.
And so then when you come to the Sautantika don't assert person to be existing as a prominent single or independent or an existing person to be an existing self-sufficient and substantial. So therefore, it's done better than Vaibhashika.
아니 대가나 강사다 대마트와 켈레 거로.
But they assert the person to exist truly.
아 샘쯤에 대가라야 아니 영어용도 된도 켈레가 되나 그도 데메 켈레다야 텔때 타워치 말이.
And that comes to the minority school. So there is a part of minority school. I mean, the minority school has certain things that exist truly there, which they assert to exist truly, like the other power phenomena, and well-established phenomena are truly existing, but imputed phenomena are not truly existing. So there is something that they don't assert to exist truly. Therefore, they're a little bit better than the Sautantika.
다들 오마바니 오마라제바다 타지 오마라제베기 아니 추담조랑 그 데바트가 말다 좀 생이 적을 했으네요. 아 타제바다 때스 섬점아 때야 섬좀할 때도 야참 말.
And so then after that comes the Madhyamika. So the Madhyamika don't accept or assert things to exist truly at all, right? And then again, so therefore it's better than the Madhyamika. But in the Madhyamika again there are two, right? So Sautantika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika. So even though the Sautantika Madhyamika doesn't assert things to exist truly, but they say there are things that exist inherently or by its one characteristic. Yeah. So there are some things that exist. So therefore, in the Prasangika Madhyamika, nothing exists on its one side or by its one characteristics. So therefore, it's not as good as Prasangika, but it is better than the Siddhamata.
아 오마 단지에 나 랑우 가로랑 생이 적은 말에 랑우는 적고 말해스.
And so where Prasangika says nothing exists from its one side, nothing exists inherently or from its one characteristics.
다들 마시당으로 단로 그래. 다 소소산이 소소 갖고 그래 망하면 레시데 제가 용을 했어.
So this is an overall of all these four tenets. But of course, we'll discuss each one of them in more detail.
Okay. Good. Everyone got something that? Okay, tomorrow is okay. 야, 다음에 때문에 시작했다. 아니, 스타트인데 라마 뭐 잠야 동고 가르 라망 공부 자양다 예 뭐예 마치 지선람 담아놓을 장다로 스타된 조주들이
Now that's page 1, right? In the text, the presentation of tenets by Venerable Geshe Tenley. There is a homage to all who are holy and venerable, existing inseparable in entity with the Lama protective magician.
아 라마는
This is
고나메
a
봐.
praise or homage to the Lama.
일단 라마한테 고나메 받지.
So Lama means
윤덕이처럼 고나메 봐.
like the highest, nobody is higher than him. In
윤덕이처럼.
terms of the knowledge and realization,
아니 공부해서 다 도와되지.
and protector is like the main
아니
person.
잠세대 간지네 링아 없으면 요모도 잡성화인다. 아니 다지 쉬시 떠와서 놓고 들어와. 나까지 잠에 따지든 잠에라 다까지 이제 잠이 밀려 러시도 들어와.
So the Manjushri is the Buddha of wisdom.
간지 아니 지든 잠에야도 소소고 따벨라마 아니 뭐예 마치게 된지기 지도 담반하는 게 장타가 있어.
And so this is inseparable in entity with the Lama protector, Manjushri. So to that Lama, put in a Lama who is inseparable to the protector Manjushri, to that Lama I pay homage.
가르치는 제거나 아니 소소고 아니 지도 취전된 고랑기 딱 아니 점택이 잡아도 좀라 아니 직경에 빠지들의 모양 직경에 빠지시 같은 게 있어.
And so this is the homage paid by the writer or composer, the author. And so the author here is the Geshe Tenley. So Geshe Tenley paid homage to his guru, who is inseparable from the Lama protected Manjushri. The reason why he made the homage is so that all his obstacle to write this in the text will be cleared.
이런 남중 알아서 수술로 집에 갈라 수술 사이를 마다 아니 지든 잠에야 바바 시리즈 지들만 예마지게 소음을 타고 그래.
And so just like that, when we do our practices, we should pray to our gurus, by seeing them as inseparable from the deity, like the Shara, Ara, Manjushri, and so forth.
내가 촉사발라 그래와.
So that way we create merits.
아니 저와저마다 연락이 냠내 제고 그래.
Then after that, you engage in the practice of the 7 limbs to purify the negativities.
아니 테니 소주 깔래 잡아이나 그 촉사 접장 잡아 소주 깔래 잡아 손가 좀나 땅어도 냠내다. 가지 로로 잡아야 보는 거지.
Then you also work hard, not just doing that and then thinking that okay, I will just learn everything now just by doing that. No, you still have to study, and so you work hard to study, and then you do the practice to accumulate merit, and then do the practice to purify the negatives. All these 3 together, and you will learn everything.
촉사 접장한테 빼면서 내가 지금 있어라.
So if you haven't accumulated enough merit and haven't purified the negativities, but only work hard to study, you will not get it. So you have to have all these 3 together.
라미 신업 체다 중이라마야 라라했습니다. 라마 가리는 마요까지 수수고 선부 당당하라 그래서.
And so it also depends on one's hard work. It doesn't only depend on the Lama. By praying to Lama, it doesn't mean that so whether you receive Lama's blessing or not depends whether you work hard from your side or not.
모텔은 좋아지 말라는 조절하겠다.
By seeing the Lama as inseparable from the deity and so forth. So that's anyway. So that first part is the paying homage.
안들 전대는 쳐버렸을 때 좀 담자버린 얘들이 좀기 캐내져버려.
Then after that, is the promise to compose it.
아대죠 단테니 예와 수수 근데 되셔 봐서 무슨 도 왔어.
Then first it says that in explanation of presentation of tenet, there are 3 points. It's the definition, division, and the meaning of each division.
남백은 테니까리레스 남발 예와까리레스 내 예와 있는데 수수수 된다까리까리 그래서.
So what is the definition of Buddhism, and how many divisions are there in Buddhism? And if there are many divisions, then what is the meaning of each of these divisions?
아다고도 하고 싶게면도.
You understand that part, right?
아 남백 테니가 있는데 동보대 군초 좀 짠내 양다다 켈레시 텔레진베 짠내 문제비 다음에 가다데 넘버 산지부터 넘버 가다 테니들와.
So and then it says the definition of the proponent of Buddhist tenets. It's not like it doesn't say definition of Buddhism, a Buddhist, but proponent of Buddhist tenets. So someone who promotes the Buddhist tenet. So what kind of definition you have to have for that person? That is a proponent, of tenet who accepts the three jewels as ultimate objects of refuge and does not assert any ultimate objects of refuge other than these three jewels.
와, 아니 다 군조좀 상제 추기네서 상제 잡담바보. 아니 겐디 잡도 나도 또 뭐니도 추 어다 도스 잡냐다 켈렘비 강사들이고 그러.
The three jewels, right? The Buddha is the teacher or the founder of the refuge, and then the Sangha is the helper, ones who supports and helps you to do your practice, and the teaching is the ultimate refuge. And the ultimate refuge. So having seen these three, as the ultimate object of refuge.
아주 잠도 거기서 나도 남기 뭐 보셔야 되겠다. 저도 한번 어떻게 믿어 드셔라. 조금 먹고 싫어.
This is very, you're all very familiar with this, right? This, we have talked about refuge a lot, so you're very familiar with this. We don't need to talk a lot on this.
네 점타마비 강사다. 점타자들 가면 든지 마비 강사. 다 든지 켈렘비 강사라 그러와.
So this is the proponent of a tenet, right? So the proponent is a person who propounds the tenet.
그러면 남바이나 남바 산지에 전담이 가사이 먹고 생각을 납초를.
And so if you are Buddhist, you don't have to be someone who propounds the Buddhist tenet.
Wow.
If you are Buddhist, you don't have to propound the Buddhist tenet.
그냥 안저고 변화 지금 든지 그 가로 생이단들이 그 로조치 만약에 있다 근데 즉 산지 쪽에도 잠내다 켈레데 가사를 막 강대로.
So in order to propound the Buddhist tenet, you have to know about the tenets. You have to study it. So someone who have not studied about the tenets, like before you study the tenets, you are Buddhist and you take refuge in Buddhism, but you're not a proponent. You are not a proponent of Buddhist tenets.
완전히 그 텔레시에 잠도 그만을 봤어야 돼. 세심한 편지대 폐 제대 아니 잠내심 박해래요. 말해서 맞아. 시당도 딱 잠만 보여라.
And so it says object of refuge says does not assert any object of refuge other than this. So does not assert object of refuge, for the next life. For the next life, you don't assert any other object of refuge other than these three. But of course, for this life, you can say there are many other things you can take refuge in.
나 고등으로 지나 알아서 멤버를 앞에 지어라마도 소소야 쪼백치 만나겠지.
Like you take refuge in the doctor, right? So when you're sick, in order to be free from your sickness or to be cured from your disease, you have to take refuge and you have to rely on the doctor. So that's like taking refuge in the doctor.
아니 삼바베나 단답변에 유크레인도 있는면서 다그로 사베도 줄 잡신대로 어디서 그러와.
And so like you're taking refuge in the bridge or taking refuge in the subways, like people in Ukraine now, and they're taking refuge in the subway.
어디 제다든지 다들 하고서 뭐 매시
Understand that,
나로서 변한 소마들이 요리 직대배 소마들이 두들러 잡제기 요다 있나 내가는 하나씩 조던 틀려요 하시는 게 저는 이바데 되게 이해서 아마도 막 겨우시면 표제든가 다부자로 주려고요 말이.
And also there's where people take refuge in the worldly thoughts, the worldly protections. So those are like more temporary. So in order for me to be successful in what I'm doing, or in order to not have any interferences in my activity, and I make these offerings to you, so you please protect me. So just for that reason, not for like I'm going to take refuge in you and to help me from life to life, not like that.
근데 다들 이제 다 여와가서나 여 신도와 너대와 바리 시라마와 너대와 선생님 원님을 시대요.
That's the definition, right? Now you understand the definition, right? Now there's the next is the division. So how many divisions are there? There are 4 divisions: Vaibhashika, Authentika, Chittamatra, and Madhyamika.
아 당본이라 되면 되니 자세로. 이거 하려면
It says the first 2 are also known as the 2 schools that propound the meanings.
아니는 대단하가이나.
No.
되면 되니라는 갈라고이나.
So what does that mean? You have that in there.
Did, yes.
It's very short.
Now they gave us the answer in the text,
What they say?
that external objects are truly existent.
Oh,
Truth and reverse.
Eshatanyore. Shuru tunda traba. Ne kelemba mawa inza ane temate ni se shatan chire.
So because you propound, the external objects, as truly existent, and therefore you call that.
Ane yamane shatan chila ya kolo tambu go ane ta drezada. Ane tenda niga kanji drachijenda ne kelemba mawa inza temate ni se.
So, or then because or you can say other way, because they assert the teachings of the first 20 of the Buddha Dharma to be definitive, and therefore you can say these are called the two meaning proposals.
다들만 로샤샤다. We think you stop that. You stop that or
You go furthermore, or should we stop here?
really?
So can I ask a question about
Yeah.
the definition?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, we just went through all the definitions of a Buddhist and, and it always includes a view. But the definition of a proponent of Buddhist tenets doesn't include a view, but is that because, I guess if you are a proponent of Buddhist tenets, then you would necessarily.
저도 내시고 가려야 또 잠주고는 다는 시간 대시 아직도 시간 그랬어.
the number in this number that coming go on, most of the time go was sure.
상황이고 말때 상황이고 말해.
So, like we talked about many different ways of seeing someone as a Buddhist, right?
Yeah.
So one way is someone who takes refuge, and then Buddha Dhamma Sangha, the best Buddhist. Or other way is, like we talked about the view, conduct, and meditation, right? So that's one way. So if you take refuge, you already Buddhist, You don't have to have that others also.
Okay.
예전에는 나가서 셔라마가 대와 좁지가 셔라마가 지 셔라 남아가 어디 가서 다 켈랭 그랬어. 얘도 따위 거니고 남아 마이너로 차르다 얘나 쇼바다 잠두고는 남아 있어.
So they're like the Vaibhashika, they say there's like 18 subdivision of the Vaibhashika school, and one of these sub school asserts the self-existence. If you are Buddhist, then you should not accept, assert the self-existence, right? And the self-existence. If you are Buddhist, right, you should not accept or assert the self-existence. Because of that, then they also say that subdivision. Now the Vaibhashika is not a Buddhist.
다 뜨자가 뜨이나 가사가 담이야 가사 때 담에 치켜는 그래 치켜는 거 말아. 셔라마와티. 셔라마. 가사 담데 그러고 셔란 남아 봐서 돼. 가사 라차지 가사 가로. 가사 따지 롱지 동 고사 담에 켜는 거지. 나 라차티 데이다. 아무다 가에 뭐 라차티 데이다 켜는 그랬어. 가다 다 켈레바이다 다 담에 켈 말면다 고타에 고는 남밤에 찬다고 했을 때 밑에
나중에 지금 다들 killing 말이야.
아저롱지 다 켈는 말이야. 아저롱지 담에 켈는 말이지. 나 라차티 데지 다 켈는 말이다. 고다 켈면 도.
지금 뭐 상황인데 killing 말이야.
세워 켈는 말이야.
그래서 아저랑 가서
남아 보고서 찍셔야 돼.
지금 뭐 상황이 가서 내가 아저도 저도 killing 말이야.
가르쳐는 내가 말이야. 나 찍.
So like again, what we talked about earlier, so this is better than that, like that, right? So Vaibhashika, and then Southern Thika is better than Vaibhashika, and then better than Southern Thika, like that. So, but it doesn't mean that on all the Vaibhashika accepts or asserts the self-sufficient and substantial existing self. It's not that. It's only this subdivision that we're talking about now. One of the 18 among the 18 subdivisions in one subdivision. And asserts that, and therefore, they say, "Oh, you accept, you assert that self-existent. Therefore, you are not a Buddhist." But that's a debate, like that. But again, even though even though they accept the self to exist, self-sufficient and substantially, but they don't accept that self, that very self, to be permanent and single and independent again. That's all. So there is a kind of the selflessness that they accept. The selflessness of the selflessness of the person that is empty of impermanence, single and independence, right? They accept that selflessness, but because they don't accept the selflessness of the person existing self-sufficient and substantially, and therefore again they say, oh, you accept the self existence, therefore you're not Buddhist again. So that's like a debate like that. So that in other words, it's like, so there are many different kinds. So there are many different kinds of selflessness. You accept one selflessness, but you don't accept other selflessness. Doesn't mean that you have to accept all kinds of selflessness.
Yeah.
That makes sense in this, but would you say that, is it because if you say that in the third seal, that all phenomena are empty and selfless, are you defining that selfless as empty of a permanent, unitary, independent self, or self-sufficient substantial?
Yeah, so in any kind of selflessness.
Any kind, okay, so therefore, that's why you can't use.
Yeah, so in Buddhism, there are many different kinds of selflessness, right? So for Sangha selflessness is different from even the Sautrantika Madhyamika selflessness, right? So that again, so because of one that you accept, therefore you accept one.
You have this outlier sub-school of Vaibhashika, and that's why you can't say that the four seals necessarily is part of the definition of being a proponent of Tenets.
또 조주다 지르모치 해다 나지 지네 잠로시자 지데 고탐다 고디디 도고 아고 전다 제바나라고 또 샤단 담르지 연구였어.
Yeah, so it's not because of that. It's not because of that. It's not mentioned here. It's not like that.
Okay.
Just because one of the subdivision doesn't accept that, therefore it's not mentioned. It's not like that.
Okay.
But this, I mean, like I said, there's many different ways. But this is according to Lama Atisha and Lama Tsongkhapa explaining. Someone being a Buddhist is someone who takes refuge, in the Buddha and Sangha.
Okay. 나다는 것도 말 도를 다시 다 아무 셰라마발라 다 세예와 다시 예지는 세예 가리엠바 예와 가서요 봐. 나 다들 가리엠바 아니 율 가린다고 봐. 이치 가린다고 남인도 사실 가서도 와. 눈도 왔어. 아대 참았지 바래.
And so now then it comes the meaning of each division, right? The explanation of the Vaibhashika of the Chitta-mata and Madhyamika system. Then in the next it says Vaibhashika. It says the external position of the particularist school, and this, the first school is explained by way of 7 points. That's the definition, division, etymology, the mode of asserting objects, the mode of asserting object possessor, mode of asserting selflessness, and presentation of grounds and paths. So these are the 7 points that is explained in every division. So this in Bible, same 7 points in Vaibhashika, and the 7 points in the Sautrantika, Chitta-mata, and also Madhyamika.
아니 다 아니 셰라모다 라르고 말해서 라른도고 말해서 라르 믿어 지기세들.
And so here in the definition, right, of the Vaibhashika, it says one who propounds the Hinayana tenets and asserts external objects to be truly existent, but does not assert self-cognizance.
나 저렇게 주간 거 아니 넘버트 바레스 저렇게 던데 바레스.
All the external objects to be truly existent.
아니 태메지 전담 가다가 소 그냥 콜로 담보 자치진데 아니 켈렘바 에 된다말 가사세로 거는 거.
Then it says that the one who propounds the Hinayana tenets, and or someone who asserts the teachings of the first one of Dharma, to be definitive.
근데 라리부터 라리세페 자시다 가서 라리세다 전나세 계로 따데 아슈벤나 록데나 록데 록치 빠시나 록데 세워차다 록세마시 빠고 말세를 드리는 거예요.
So the self-cognizer, this is does not assert self-cognizer. And so if you have a light, you don't need a light to light it. The light lights itself. You don't need a separate light. So to light it like that.
아니 다 라리세다 고 말에 가지 라리세다 고면 전나세 고 말에서 Aroniksa namjin ratan do de ventro jina they are rich they shipaji they yech tan digin they regress ko shipat chiburi digin nalo shipaji yoresaji chegero
So,
go mares
like usually, the object, I mean, the subject, right, or the object possessor or subject, like the mind, right?
Yeah.
Mind have object, right? So it sees, mind sees or perceives the object, and so then there has to be, if there is a self-cognizer, then there has to be another party of the mind which cognizes the mind that cognizes the object. So there, so Babashika is saying, no, there's not necessary to have that.
다 되라 얘나 이 가지 시라마고 세대 나 그리고 가시물이 또 왔대 되게 아니 시라마 뭐 보이서로 봤어 가지 산에 자네래
And then divisions, they say they are divided, from the, I think so, from the location.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Is that the word?
가시물이
No.
Regions?
Oh, what is it?
Areas?
That's what I'm.
I don't remember the words now. Yeah, anyway,
가지 시라마
Where did the tribes?
야 근데 제다지데 가지 간도 다
location,
가시
what is the other word for location in the world? Huh?
Country.
Geography. Geography.
가지
Geography. So yeah, so it says like, from the location and geographically, like divided, so Kashmiri, so the proponent of the Babashika tenets who reside in the place called Kashmiri, so it's called Kashmiri.
야 가지 제다 쳤다 나 가시 그금도 왔어 접사 제사가 산에 대래 용이게 아니 시라마도 가시 시라마 가지 그금 정도 가지 그금라 그래
So there's, in I think there's also, they call it the place, where they grow saffrons. They have like the saffrons where they grow or come from. So the proponents of the Babashika tenets, who reside in that place where the saffrons grow, therefore it's called Kashmiris.
아니 니오바세 다 사자 기사 다 여기서까지 나와도 제대 내다 와시 되는 거더라
Then at the other places, the Plantakas, somewhere again, and then Magadha, it's like mostly like in the central part of the India.
어지 다 돼요 어지 다 어머나 가지는 시라마 가르치는 시라마 몰랐나 아니 시라첸도 침받을까지 시라마고 그런 게 빼져 침보지라 다딘 나는 강소만 나지 수수 캔을 지든다마다 아니 시라마 와슬라 버레스
Then etymology, it says, if someone asks why they are called Vaibhashika, it is because they propound tenets following the great detailed explanation. This is Mahavibhavasa, and also because they propound the 3 times as instant of substance.
어지 다 디슴 내 마와 따라서 고나시다 가지 와다니 시라마 몰라 그레스
And so it says they have that particular way of explaining these 3 times, the past, present, and future. Therefore, it's called the Vaibhashika or particularist school.
내가 그냥 선지 좀 된데 그 영화인데 왜 로자 생각나야 아니 시라마가 더 좁제 전에 고도 나와 봐대 그리고 많다 마치는 데를 뭐 붙여 말해 근데 고도 가든 타만 되지 타마스 루루치지 근데 더 좁제도 다 간지 강한 나와 차들이 좀 말해 그거 돈이 로자지 단어지
And so it says that after Buddha, after about 100 years after Buddha passed away, then there came the division of the Vaibhashika. So they were all like different. They all divided into 18 different divisions, and they all have a different views on this. But then later they had this versus
Collection?
Council? No.
collection
Oh, yeah,
conclusion
What do you call that? Anyway, so that so they compiled all these teachings of the Buddha together, and then they brought all these 8 divisions to be Buddhist, to be.
그는 대 가르치는 용어나 그래서 러벤 말하고 지는데 고좀 말하고 좁지 좋아요.
And so the reason why they were divided into 18 different divisions were because of following different teachers.
안 돼야 아니 배는 돈도 빌까라 돈도 더 말하고시
And then, of course, all these teachers are Buddhist, and of course, they're Buddhist, but different teachers in Buddhism, and after different, teachers from after Buddha, and there are some the way they talk, and some they even like the way they recite the sutra.
마음 지나서 맨날 죽을래서 죽을 자만요. 그래서 고소 남으나 요 되게 많다 마시. 죽을 자만요. 자요.
Then, like the rope, the monk's rope, there's like the patterns. There's a number of patterns. And then from the different number of patterns. So some say, okay, this many patterns, some say that many patterns. So because of that, then there can be division.
아데 접제때 간지 대화 있나 간지 다 신앙 되게 그래.
So all these 18 divisions, when they're all put together, then they can be all in one as Vaibhashika.
다좀 봐. 레슨 그 지선하게는 같이 대화 하더라 그래. 같이 대화.
And so there's the Arhat Kashyapa. The Arhat Kashyapa, there's one who follows the Arhat Kashyapa. Is one division of the Vaibhashika school.
공을지 다 지선하게 만나고 나요 왜 말이야.
So the 5 of these 18 division were the one who follows the Arhat Kashyapa.
조지가 domjete 안에 단다 같이 대회가 dom지 있어. 뭐 별에 배우가래야. 조지가 dom박 제때 별에 빠르고 말해. 배우 말해.
And then it says like the lineage of the vow that Lama Atisha was carrying is from this division of the Arhat Kashyapa's division, and of course he didn't spread or propagate that lineage of the vows, but anyways it says that Lama Atisha carries that division of vows.
안에 대내 내시탐주 여밤하게 되어서 다좀 작신사야 되겠지라.
Then there's the division which follows the Arhat Takshin, and his assertion is that everything, all the bases exist.
근데 다나 배원 배획이 탐주 여밤하고 내시탐주 여밤하고서.
나도 왜 불만하기 잘해.
그리 하면 돼. 아주 탄이자다 시탐주 여밤하고 쓰려 그래. 아니 뒤가 domjete ngando 별에 다되고 domjete 됐다 되고.
And so that that's the lineage of the vow that is popular in Tibet.
제가 다나 별이야. 게노막 domji 메서된 되게 domjete 메와 엔사는 domji 말했어.
And so because this lineage of the vow doesn't have the Victionist lineage, and therefore in Tibet there's no Victionist lineage.
홍고 지선도 안에 그냥 대세마다 되어서 봐.
And then there are like 7 divisions of the 18 division of Vaibhashika, which follows this Arhat Takshin.
아니 내대 대화 대대 아니 그뭐 까다야 나서 홍고 지선 한 것이 단단한도 내대 대화 좀 매도.
Then there's called the division of the elders, from Katayana. It's Katayana, the elder Katayana.
근데 공을라야 지선하게 숨면서 말하고 숨.
And so there are 3 divisions, of the 18 which follows the Katayana.
근데 뭔가 대화서 아니 다좀 녀왕 거지. 지선하게 뭔가 대화서 지요.
And then the Arhat Nyorko, so there's a division which follows him.
근데 공을 지주 숨지.
So there are 3 divisions.
아까
3 of them. So like how many are there now?
나디
5, 7, 3.
네. 어머니. 3 times 2, 3 times 2 is 6, and 7, and 5. 어머니. No.
6, 5,
13
and then 5.
18.
18.
다시 한번 내가 좀 짓으래.
Those are the 18 divisions.
그래서 단다 남의 트릭군디도 왔다고 보시겠나니 직접 송화. 이게 대답 못 되는 거였어.
So in that, the compendium of Buddhist science, by his honest, I think it is explained in there.
그래서 세상나 뭐들이라고 간다.
You have that book, right?
Yeah. Okay. 다치도 가라고서.
So what did you learn today?
나 점자세 그래 갖고서.
So you learned what is tenets.
와. 아니 그러고 좀 따때 남발라 가래 숨 같이 시까지 되고 그래서 대업주도 갖고
You learn why there are 4 tenets. Buddhism.
난 남바 요도 전에 아니 직다고 쇼 숨때도 거는 연다도 말이야 숨생도 남지도 말이야.
And then you learn how someone can be a Buddhist from 3 different ways, right?
아니 산지 때마다 로까지 되게 갖고서 와.
And you learn how many years the Buddha's teachings going to last.
Yes.
아니 시라마발라 시당 자외 요 시치 대파제나 아니 좁제 왔다 때 사고 하고 계셔 와.
And then you also learn how many divisions are there in Abhishka school.
아니 다 된다고 말해.
And that's
아니
it.
되네로
You learn a lot.
되네로 로를 때 시선나 야보면 현대 저도 TTT 사이반 가를 하고는 지라팽 말아.
So roughly like that. If you can remember, all those things, then then you get something. Otherwise, you go back and you don't think of anything, then you don't get anything.
Yes.
One quick question.
Yeah.
On my mind, when you talk about the turning of the wheels, progresses one upon the other, and the third turning, it clarified emptiness, right? But then you said the different schools, like the middle school was the second wheel, and the mind-only school was
Third wheel.
the third. That's
Yeah.
order is surprising.
그럼
저걸 다
Yeah.
못하는 니바당 선바치는 지금 다 보고 말했어.
네.
내가 다 보는 데는 다 니바들라 되네 가서 엄마 봤지. 선바들은 다 주바 가서 샘점 받는 데는 그냥 됐어. 뭐죠 나 참아서.
대 대제 감도 모발다 산지 송 거스.
No, it's not necessarily to be progressive. It is taught according to the students' interest and their disposition. So whatever fits better for the student at that time, that's the teaching he turned at that time.
이제 산지가 안 보도 때서 되네 버라든 타마타마 야심 그저 말해.
So it's not like one is better than the other like that. The next one is better than the previous one. It's not like that.
아
It doesn't
전담마
have to be like that.
전담마 지가 따완 도면가 나나 돌돌돌돌돌 그랬어.
Yeah, but when we talk about the tenets here, the way the sequence of the tenets that's presented here, yes, the latter one is better than the former one.
Okay. Then you got it? How about you guys? Are you guys got something? Are you writing something or they're writing something? Yeah, Mary?
No one's saying anything. They're also muted still. And no one's writing. I think you guys can unmute.
If you have a question,
I can see something writing. I don't know that's question.
Oh, that was
Yes,
me.
questions. I can see something other than you. Okay. 저도 가려 하고 보는데 다당 간 가라고 좀 타게 된다 가래 연발하고시 좀 다제 가리가리 쇼요 메다고시 근데 남발 좀 담아 보셔요 다 간대로 근데로 이제 비즈 수수 샘을 때 차와요나 되게
yeah. So if you can just remember, what is tenet, how does the tenet came about, and how many tenets are there, and so forth. So if you can just remember roughly like that, then that's good enough.
다시 잡아가도 다 대사를 넣는 게 너무 따바 되잖아요. 그 아마 도와줄게요 말와.
And so to understand everything in every detail, you have to become monk and go to monastery and study and debate every day.
오케이. 아니 단다 동화와도 동화지 세대 저와 총소와.
So now you understand what is the suffering and the nature of suffering, right?
내 저도 미신의 저도 산이 라지 막히거든 무슨 것이.
Next week you're going to answer that, right? How many common locus are there? 3 or 4 common locus between suffering and suffering, nature of suffering.
How many possibilities?
Oh, this is good. How many possibilities? Okay. And then this is the one homework. The another homework. What I'm going to give you. 아니 남배 딱고 쇼스인데 아니 쇼바 가르스 쇼베거니 남바 이미 갔다 그랬어 나와치 공바치 쇼바 들려고 가서 맞대 되냐서 나는 남배 따와 공바지는데 남배 공부도 남바 이미 갔다 그랬어
So, we talked about the view, meditation, and conduct. Would you find it comfortable to answer how do you define the conduct in that perspective? What is conduct in that?
Okay.
What is,
What is conduct, right? Or what is the meditation? Maybe meditation is easier.
yeah.
What is meditation?
Just
And,
define what is meditation.
Yeah, just define the meditation. And also when we talk about seeing someone as a Buddhist from the perspective of view, meditation, and conduct, right? What is meditation?
What kind of meditation?
What kind of meditation? What is meditation? What is the meaning of meditation here?
Okay. If someone do that, it's become Buddhism. It doesn't do the Buddhism. You have some debate there, okay? Jennifer already got some debate there.
So you don't want us to just like say back what you said, that you want us to, you said, yeah, there could be a lot of debate about that answer.
이 친구도 semla 어떤데 너희 라고 고야 돼. 수술 sem라야. 단다 점단을 어떤 들이 선들이 고 그래서.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, there's so many different views, right? So many, explanations. So you might explain it some way, and she might explain in different ways.
Yes.
But whatever you think, you write that.
Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever.
Or whatever you heard from Geshe, or whatever you learned from
Yeah, yeah.
Geshe.
Okay, got it.
You might not have any idea what it means.
근데 대례심에 점내 만도 봐서 그네 고 그래서. 대례심에 점내 만도 봐서지.
Then, when you talk about like other than, not other than, right? Does not assert any ultimate object of refuge other than three, other than those three. What does that mean? Other than those three. Not asserting ultimate object other than those three.
Any ultimate object.
Any ultimate
Buddhist
or other than those three.
The three questions.
Okay? It's good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah,
You
you
guys got
understand the first one, right? The one the Jennifer verified as possibility.
Mhm.
How many possibilities? 4 or 3 possibilities.
Yeah.
you guys got it?
I don't think the last one, is that like a question or for our homework, or are we discussing it now?
It's homework.
Homework, okay. All right. And the last question is, could you repeat that?
So, what do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, it says like does not assert any ultimate object of refuge other than these. What does that mean?
Got it?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good. Mark?
Question about the first homework. It was how many possibilities between suffering and in the nature of suffering.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, anyway. That's it. I think we stop. It's almost not go. You guys just stay here, right? Just check your blanket. There's another you have to go. You have to go to half hour.
45 minutes.
You see, someone have to go 45 minutes.
Where do you live?
It's beautiful. So,
Oh,
yeah,
She's got a great
okay.
place out there. Lots of land.
there's lots of land, dogs,
Big
deer.
house.
Yeah, we got half hour, 20 minutes. You half hour.
Yeah, half hour.
Denver, that's not very far.
Yeah, 35 minutes.
Oh, 25 minutes? What do you do?
I live on the Lexington border. Arlington, but
Lexington, oh,
Lexington
okay.
border.
Okay. 10 minutes,
10 minutes.
2 minutes, 2 minutes of walk.
Not driving, 1 minute to walk.
Yes, you can't get away with being on zero.
You see, you got just 1 minute to check your blanket.
With Lama Soda in a minute.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I'm right nearby.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, that's good. Thank you, everyone. Now we can do a short dedication.
Prayer for His Holiness, in that snow mountain and circle land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord and the affliction, and life of the stars. 49, the short long land prayer for Lamas of Bonaparte. You who uphold the subdued away, preserving and spreading God's victorious doctrine. Lastly, accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, saving myself and others, your disciples, please live long. 57, the prayer dedication. For this virtue, may I accept the precious supreme.
Okay,
Thank you. Geshe.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, guys.